Hey everybody, Pastor Stephen Anderson here from Faithful Word Baptist Church in Tempe. I just wanted to make a quick video about what's going on in Sacramento, California with my friend Pastor Roger Jimenez at Verity Baptist Church. Man, they're coming after him hard. He preached that sermon on Sunday night about this whole thing in Orlando and about what the Bible teaches about the Sodomites. And let me just start out by saying this. I agree with every word of Pastor Jimenez's sermon. I agree with every syllable that came out of his mouth in that sermon. So I just want to make that real clear that I stand with Pastor Roger Jimenez. But, the media is coming after him hard. The Sodomites are coming after him hard. They went out there on Wednesday night and, unfortunately, there were all these police officers there that are supposedly there to keep the peace and protect them. But they were just letting the protesters just get right in people's faces and kind of crowd around the door and everything, and instead of, backing off. And like when they protested us, they had to stay on the public sidewalk. Apparently, they're not enforcing that in Sacramento, California. But let me say this. They have a big, giant protest planned for this Sunday. Supposedly, it's going to be a bigger protest than the one that they did on Wednesday night. And I just want to encourage anybody who lives anywhere in Northern California, anywhere in Southern Oregon, anywhere in Central California, to go to Verity Baptist Church this Sunday morning and show your support for Pastor Jimenez. I mean, the world's watching. The media is covering this thing on all kinds of different stations. I mean, literally, people contacted me and said, hey, I'm getting news of this in South Africa, or hey, he was covered here in Austria. I mean, all over the world, all over America, people are hearing about, Pastor Jimenez's sermon that he preached from the Word of God. And thank God so many people are hearing that great biblical sermon. But honestly, we are living at a crossroads in history. I mean, our nation is going down the toilet fast. And we as God's people need to stand and be counted and not just sit on the sidelines. We need to stand with Pastor Jimenez right now. We need to rally around this man of God who has the guts to preach what needs to be preached. Look, here's what I'm doing to help. I'm sending a whole group of guys. We're loading up the church van and sending a whole group up there just to attend the services on Sunday morning, just to show that, we believe in his message and that we agree with him. Why? Because you know what I would love to see more than anything? I would love to see Pastor Jimenez break his attendance record this Sunday morning. I would love for all those news cameras to show up and talk about, this church is so bad and the pastor's so bad and, these people are all protesting. I would love to see there be way more people inside the auditorium than outside the auditorium protesting. And I would love for Pastor Jimenez to be able to walk up to that camera crew and say, hey, actually, it's great. We just had our best attendance ever. We just broke our attendance record. We got 300-some people in there. That's what I would love to see happen. And you know what? If all of the people who listen to my sermons, who listen to Pastor Jimenez's sermons in Northern California, the Bay Area, Central California, if they would just visit Verity this Sunday morning and show their support, we can make that a reality. I'm doing my part. I'm sending a whole van load of people from Phoenix, Arizona, just to be there and encourage Brother Jimenez, be a part of his congregation, and hear that man of God preach. It's a great opportunity. If you've ever thought about visiting Verity Baptist and thought, someday I want to get out there, someday I want to make that drive, hey, this weekend is the weekend to make that drive. Now, thank God on Wednesday night, I want to make this point real clear. On Wednesday night, he had a solid Wednesday night attendance. He had 98 people show up to hear him preach, in spite of all the protests and in spite of all the weirdos that were out there. 98 people showed up. And thank God for, about 100 people that were faithful to church on Wednesday night in the midst of the trials and tribulations that Pastor Jimenez is going through. And let me just say this. Anybody, who would say, well, I think I'm just going to sit it out because I don't want to be shown on TV. I don't want the camera crew to point at me. Or, you don't understand, Pastor Anderson, because my job is a certain way. Or, I don't want to lose my business. Or I don't want to, to hurt my career. Let me just tell you something. Let me just break something to you. Did you know that every single person who showed up at church on Wednesday night, You know what? They all ran those same risks. They all made that same sacrifice. I'm sure that there were teenagers who were at that service who, they probably go to school the next day and they get a bad time about being there. Or maybe people got a bad time at their job. Or you say, well, Pastor Anderson, I don't want to lose my job and this and that. You know what? People in the past have been beaten and killed for the cause of Christ. And when the man of God is going through trials and tribulations, why don't we rally around him? And why don't we stand and be counted? And some people literally would lay out of church just because they're nervous about being yelled at by some sodomites, 15, 20 feet away or 30 feet away or whatever. You know what? How are you going to make it through the tribulation? How are you going to endure real trials and tribulations? Sticks and stones may break our bones, but words can never hurt us. And shame on you if you're going to stay home on Sunday morning, because of something like this. Look, forget staying home if you live in the Sacramento area. Everybody ought to be out there on Sunday morning to church and not be scared, laying low, ashamed. You know what? I want to be associated with Pastor Jimenez. I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm not going to say, go hide somewhere. Do you really think that's what Jesus Christ wants us to do right now? Is just to lay low? Don't you think he can take care of your job or your business situation or whatever? Look, I've gone through it. I've lost customers because of taking a stand for the Word of God. And it's a small price to pay. I count it all but dung, that I might stand up for the Word of God and stand up for Jesus Christ. And so everybody who's local to Sacramento, good night. We're willing to drive. We're sending people to drive 11 hours each way to be there this Sunday morning. Get your butt in church this Sunday morning if you're in the Sacramento area. Look, if you live in Modesto, Stockton, Fresno, San Francisco, San Jose, if you live in Reno, Nevada, if you live in Eugene, Oregon, man, Redding, California, get in the car. If you're watching this video and you love Pastor Jimenez and you love good preaching, or if you listen to my preaching, get down there this Sunday morning and be a part of this historic event. Be part of that group that gives him an attendance record. Just to show the world that there are still 7,000 men who haven't bowed the knee to Baal. The world wants us to think that the battle's over, we've lost, and we might as well just give up and just accept homos. Well, I'm never going to accept it, okay? So, I just want to encourage you, I want to exhort you, I want to admonish you to rally behind Pastor Jimenez in his time of need. Encourage him, stand with him. Don't hide. Stand and be counted. Suffer reproach, suffer shame for the Word of God and for the cause of Christ. And you know what? I promise you that anything that you give up for the Lord, he's going to return it to you 100-fold. So, let's say you lose your job, or let's say you lose some friends, or let's say, you're attacked or made fun of. God's going to bless you for doing what's right. And I want to say one more thing. If you're one of these that would stay home from a service because of this drama that's going on with the media and the sodomites, let me ask you this. What if everybody did like you did? Then you know what would have happened on Wednesday night? Pastor Jimenez would have shown up and had an empty building and no one to preach to. Can you imagine how humiliating that would have been? Can you imagine how it would have made a fool of him to the world if he shows up on Wednesday night and nobody's there, or just a handful of people are there? But thank God for 98 people who showed up on Wednesday night and supported the man of God. Well, you know what? Don't just sit there and ride on there and say, oh, well, somebody else will do it. Somebody else will be there. Somebody else will make the drive. Somebody else will cover it. No. You need to be there. Okay? Because if you're going to do nothing, just think, what if everybody was like you? Well, but my situation's different. No, your situation's not different. I mean, a guy got fired from Walmart. I saw on the news somebody got fired from Walmart just for having the so-called wrong opinion on this Orlando shooting. So, honestly, don't make excuses. I wish there was more that I could do for Pastor Jimenez, but, sending a group of our church members in the church van up there, I feel like that's the least that we can do to rally behind this great man of God in his time of need. God bless you and have a great day.
Fear is a form of stress. Science has demonstrated that it has an upside and a downside. It promotes survival when you're in imminent danger, but fear also works against you when it becomes a frequent response to everyday conflicts. Always feeling like a deer in the headlights can make you anxious and exhausted. As you journey on your spiritual path, it's vital to make a commitment not to lead a fear-driven life. It's important to do your best to overcome fear with courage, faith, hope, and the power of the heart. It's human to have fear, but one of the greatest spiritual challenges is to overcome it. May this next meditation help you surrender fear and find the courage and clarity every day to counter fear and cultivate faith. Doing this has tremendous rewards. It allows you to lead a more surrendered, joyous life. This meditation to surrender fear forms the basis of my own spiritual practice, and it's one I teach my patients. The beauty of this meditation is that it will shift you out of fear and into faith and compassion. I know how easily fear can gather momentum. The key to countering fear is to catch it early and keep opening your heart, what Taoists call the little sun. The heart chakra, or energy center, is the central hub of healing and calm in the body. You want to be able to regularly tap into it. In this meditation, you'll intuitively sense and access the energy of the heart to surrender fear and negativity. In a tranquil environment, sit in a comfortable position and close your eyes. Take a few long, deep breaths to relieve tension. The thing about fear is that the minute you close your eyes, fearful thoughts often arise. Common fears may surface, such as, I'll never be successful, I'll always be alone, I'll never become healthy again. Tell these thoughts, thank you for sharing, but do not concentrate on them. Concentrate on the rhythm of your breath to refocus yourself. Next, tune in to the soothing energy of your heart. The heart energy is the antidote to fear. Lightly rest your palm over your heart chakra in the middle of your chest. This energy center is the doorway to faith, compassion, and to a loving higher power. In a calm, centered state, inwardly request to connect with the presence of Spirit, which is a loving higher power. This is a force greater than yourself that links you with love. It can be God, Goddess, the night sky, angels, the great ocean, or the nameless one, whatever moves you and feels real. Most important, it is a force greater than your own ego or will. Your heart chakra can connect you with a higher, more refined consciousness. This is very important when you want to overcome fear. So gently focus on the sensations you feel in your heart area. Do not overthink or analyze this experience. What you will feel are totally visceral, intuitive sensations. This is not a matter for the linear mind. For instance, notice if you experience a comforting heat or a sense of tingling, a feeling of security, a warm and fuzzy wash of love, clarity, happiness, or even bliss. Or like me, you may feel a wave of wonderful goosebumps and a feeling of being deeply nurtured. You may want to laugh or be moved to tears. Whatever feelings emerge, subtle or intense, just go with them. Surrender. Do not overthink or analyze. Do not resist. Simply feel and intuit what your body is perceiving. It's easiest to first intuitively connect with spirit from the inside of your being. Spirit starts within you. Then you can use that home base to extend your consciousness with spirit to the outside world and all the way to infinity. Now, from this loving, secure, heart-centered place, gently focus on one of your fears that you'd like to be free of. It's best to deal with fears one by one so you don't get overwhelmed. You can start with the less intense ones. For instance, I'm afraid to say no to a friend. I'm afraid to assert myself with a relative. I'm afraid to work less obsessively. Or you may feel ready to tackle a larger fear, such as I'm a failure, I'll grow old alone, I'll always be in debt, I'm afraid of abandonment. For all of us, it's natural to have fears. Do not be ashamed of them. It is a courageous act to honestly look at your fears so that you can surrender them. Then, in a very relaxed state, meditate on your fear from a spiritual perspective. Ask yourself, how can this fear help me develop courage or become freer? For example, does courage mean cultivating self-love for you? Building confidence in the talented, fantastic person you are? Sticking to a career goal despite obstacles? In your meditation, define the kind of courage that feels most right for you. This will help you transform fear rather than feeling victimized by it. Next, with your hand on your heart chakra, feeling the power of love flowing through you, inwardly repeat this mantra. I am not just my fear, I am larger. Then, connect with a sense of spirit greater than the fear, be it love or whatever feels real. Your soul is about to expand. Feel that expansion. Go with it. Stay innocent and open. Do not overthink this. The spiritual world holds magic our rational mind can't comprehend. Take a breath, stay centered. Keep all your intuitive channels open while sensing spirit. Breathe spirit in completely. Let its well-being infuse you with the courage to be positive. You might also simply ask your higher power, please take this fear from me. Then stay open. Remain receptive. No straining, no forcing. Requesting such intervention brings extraordinary results.